Chapter 1. Event 1. Alice is entangled with Octopus. Kya. Amongst the glittering rays of sunlight that shone down upon us, I screamed as the large octopus' slimy legs entangled my limbs. Even though I desperately raised my level up until this day, to think that I couldn't even resist at all. It was correct to wear the men's pants underneath my robe, as a countermeasure that I prepared in advance, so that my soft fair skin wouldn't be exposed. Yes, my legs were raised above my head and were spread apart, but with this my mental damage was minimalized. A short distance away on the sandy beach, I could see Dean's figure as he turned his back while squatting. Alright, I wasn't seen. As long as I endure this state for a bit, that person should come to save me. The octopus leg wrapped around my waist was forcefully tightening, but this degree was still okay. Just endure. Gotta endure. As if it were aiming at my negligence, one of the octopus legs wrenched open my lips and invaded the inside of my mouth. A fishy and slimy thing penetrated my mouth, filling it up as if to violate the inside of my throat. Though I tried to bite it off, the elasticity of it forced my teeth back, and I wasn't able to make a dent in it. Even though it'd be delicious to eat if you just put it on some fire. On top of that, another octopus leg infiltrated the cuff of my trousers, and stuck itself to my calves, and then my thighs. Although I wanted to call for help, I couldn't let out a single cry, and Dean, who continued to follow my instructions earnestly, didn't even try to look this way. Ha, ha, ha. Will that person really come? The more I struggled impatiently, the tighter it got, and the octopus legs that came in from my trouser cuffs and the collar stuck directly to my skin. At times, it would pass over the tips of my chest, causing a shiver to run up my spine. The octopus legs that infiltrated from the left and right cuffs of my pants wriggled, at the central part on top of my underwear, and on top of that, the ruggedness of the suckers on those legs pressed against it while going back and forth numerous times. That ruggedness rubbed against my flower bud, causing my body to jump and shiver. As if the octopus had noticed my condition, it began to stimulate the same area again and again and again. No, this is. For something like an octopus to make me feel good. Even though I'm sure that I definitely wouldn't feel anything in this kind of state. Could it be that this is part of the Eroge's corrections? The octopus legs, which I only thought of as disgusting, were making my spine shiver just from gliding them along my skin. The suction pads stuck to the sensitive tips of my chest and then released them, repeating such actions as the octopus legs violating my bottom half, raising their speed. My hips instinctively moved, seeking stronger pleasure. Ah, I'm already coming. The moment I abandoned myself to that pleasure, I finally saw the silver color I had been eagerly waiting for, in the corner of my vision. Perhaps my consciousness had flown away for a brief period of time, but before I realized it, I was in the silver-haired man's arms. When I followed that man's line of sight, I found Dean dismantling the large octopus. Ah, so that's today's dinner. Wait, no, honestly speaking, I don't want to eat something that tormented my body. I think I'll refrain. Are you all right? As he wiped around my face, which had become sticky with mucus, with his large palm, the man peered at my face. His silver hair reflected the sun's light and glistened, looking even better with the contrast of his healthy, lightly tanned skin. While I'm sure that he was supposed to be the same age as Dean, his mature and fearless face, together with the close-up of such a good-looking guy, caused me to unintentionally avert my gaze. Thank you very much for saving me. I am all right now. I don't know when he had been watching that situation, but how horribly embarrassing. I feel like my face is even redder than an octopus. Honestly, I think it was a good thing my mouth was plugged up at that time. Because I definitely would have let out a weird voice. Nei-chan, today's dinner is an octopus fiesta. This guy, is the octopus more important than his older sister? I see. Even though my tiny maiden's heart is all worn out, and I worked so hard. Dean, one moment. Oi, are you her little brother? Then why didn't you help her out? My angry voice was drowned out by the man's voice. While lifting me, who still could not exert any strength, up into a princess carry, he furrowed his brow while approaching Dean. You possess a weapon, do you not? What are you trying to do by pretending not to see her, eh? No, please wait. My little brother is, bad with octopuses. Ha, how lame. Even for me that's a lame excuse. Even though he's someone bad with octopuses, he was just disassembling one gleefully after all. But there's no way I would be so foolishly honest as to say that I was waiting for you. This child has always been bad with living octopuses ever since he was young. Right, actually, I can't even stand looking at them. I'm sorry, Nei-chan. I couldn't do anything. I am okay. An older sister who kindly called out to her younger brother who despondently hung his head, that's me. Though the man appeared as if he wasn't convinced, perhaps because our shady performance drew the rage out of him, his anger seemed to have settled for the time being. Thanks for saving Big Sis. I'm Dean. I am Alice. I can already stand on my own. After having the man let me down from his arms, I once again said my thanks to the man while lowering my head. I'm Harold. I'm a traveling adventurer primarily staying in this town right now. Right. His name was Harold, and like this, while risking my life and working hard, we somehow managed to collect the first flag. Chapter 2, Event 1. Alice is entangled with Octopus. Brother's perspective. The 5th year after I realized the world of an Eroge, the fact that my elder sister was also a reincarnator came to light. Not only that, but her interior was the elder sister from my previous life. Even in this life, for us to be siblings, I can only feel that we were cursed. The only saving grace was that perhaps her 15 years of memories living as Alice won out. But even after recovering the memories from her previous life, she still had Alice's tone of voice and behaviors. When the fact that my sister was my previous life's sister came to light, I involuntarily said that it would wilt, but somehow I think it should still work. I won't say what exactly, though. For now, the Alice, up until now has, in various ways, taken care of me, so before my sister finds out I shall dispose of the underwear that I borrowed. Until I reached 18 years of age, when the game would start, we single-mindedly focused on raising our levels, while spending every day earning money for the sake of our livelihood. Our house, tentatively speaking, holds the title of being the lowest seat of the lower-level nobles, but since we do not have a territory we are fundamentally poor. The income of our father who works in the castle could only just barely cover the estate's maintenance fees, so our eating habits were probably more destitute compared to the average commoner. As such, in order to create healthy bodies as well as secure meals while also practicing combat, we steadily completed guild requests. Poor nobles have nothing to do with noble events. Thanks to that, by the time I was 18 years old, I think I became quite the swordsman. I would have preferred a bit more of a cheat with concerns to battle, but there wasn't any of that. A few days after I became 18, rumors that the princess went missing began to spread. This is the beginning of the game. Like what I decided with Big Sis beforehand during the strategy meeting, our goal is the true end. I will definitely make my waifu from my previous life, Princess Sophia, into my wife. For that sake, I would like my Big Sis to also work hard. And then, finally, the guild has put out a request for the subjugation of the large octopus. We must complete this event or else Princess Sophia's half-brother won't appear. Since Big Sis, who was scheduled to be subjected to the large octopus tentacle play, was looking a bit pale. I told her it'd be fine as long as she wore some pants underneath her robe and handed over one of my shrunken pants. Dean, you really are thoughtful. She was very happy, but I took it upon myself to not advise her to tie off the cuffs of the trousers. Conversely, I handed her pants with leg holes that were a bit on the wider side. Feeling relieved at the fact that her underwear wouldn't be seen, it seemed that Big Sis didn't realize that fact. Indeed, I hadn't given up on Big Sis, Alice's, arrow event at all. Though she was my real sister, Alice tickled my heart. Rather, the sense of immorality from her being my real sister added to the eroticism. It wasn't emotion like love or the like. I just wanted to visually rape my big sister. I want to see her erotic places. I didn't hold such feelings too thoughtful. I didn't hold such feelings towards my previous life's Big Sis, so I think this is probably an Eroge correction. Rather, I hope that is the case. And so, as planned, Big Sis was captured by the large octopus we encountered at the beach. While listening to her screams, I turned my back to Big Sis and crouched down. It's because she told me beforehand not to look. However, I did not have such wasteful options as not looking. I took out a hand mirror that I had polished up from my bosom and secretly reflected Big Sis's immodest appearance. Alright, I can see it clearly. In the hand mirror, the sight of Big Sis's legs being spread apart while an octopus leg screwed into her mouth was reflected. The cloth prevented me from seeing it, but I could tell that the octopus legs that entered the pant cuffs were moving back and forth across Big Sis's sensitive parts. Seeing as there were times when Big Sis's body would twitch, there was no doubt that she was feeling it. I properly burned the sight of Big Sis' improper appearance into my eyes. If I do this, then my intracranial library will be able to reproduce it any number of times in the future. This is probably the cheat ability of the protagonist. I can perfectly preserve something erotic just by seeing it once and can replay it whenever I want inside my head. On top of that, I can enjoy it as either a movie or a still picture. As expected of an eroge, the sole weakness is that something that has been saved can't be deleted. One time, I saw my parents that had already reached quite the age doing some SM-like hustling, but that image was properly preserved as well. I think that the sight of my fat middle-aged father being tied up has become a trauma. Big Sis's body was trembling bit by bit, so it seemed that the pleasure has exceeded her. The octopus legs that were violating the inside of her clothes were probably continuing to accurately attack her sensitive places. At times she would turn her intoxicated gaze this way, but that silver-haired man still had not appeared. 10 minutes had already passed, but he still hasn't appeared. It could be that he would appear according to the game's timing. In other words, just before Alice reaches climax, the moment I thought that I saw Big Sis's face flush as she began to move her hips by herself. She twisted her body, as if to hit a stronger and better place. How erotic. Twitch. Big Sis convulsed, and the moment when I involuntarily was about to reach for my own nether region, a powerful ray of the sun caused a silver color to glisten. That silver color thrust at the large octopus vital spot in an instant, and caught Big Sis, who fell from the octopus legs within its arms. Big Sis was limp and didn't seem to be conscious. I hastily replayed the scene of my parents' thing in my head, calming my nether regions, and stood up. Yup, my parents did a really good job. For now, I'll leave Big Sis to the silver-haired man and start dismantling the large octopus that is today's dinner. Big sister, today's dinner is an octopus fiesta. When I let out a joyful voice while dismantling, I got really scolded by Silverhead.